Hey y'all, Boogie Night here, how's it going? And sadly, we have come to the end of another mini-arc, and even more sadly, we have come to the end of Giallo July. I've had a blast watching these movies throughout the month, and that's not just because it gave me the perfect excuse to watch several Dario Argento movies, not just Suspiria, but I bought a few others along the way that I will watch and review down the pike. But also because it gave me a chance to watch other Giallo movies and compare them to my baseline and say, kind of compare what I've seen in various movies that make them good or not good, and share those ideas with you to see if this is a film genre that you may or may not like. And also a big shout out to Josh Wasabi, my brother from another mother, for watching these movies as well. I think he liked them, as I've said in my previous entry, but it's always good because I have the idea to share my thoughts on something, and then he will share his thoughts back with me, and we can come to an overall conclusion, which we generally pretty much agree on. And that's not to say that the movies we watched throughout this month were good, because this latest movie that we saw a couple days ago, for those people that like to see me frustrated and express my discontent with certain movies, you're gonna like this. Now, before I continue on this, I know this review is a day late and a dollar short, but here's the thing. Yesterday, I was wrecked. I posted this on Twitter yesterday. I got maybe 3 hours of sleep Sunday night, and yesterday was very busy, and plus we had Tropical Storm Emily blowing through. So by the end of the day, I sounded like an adult from the Charlie Brown series, this wah, 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 wah. But I'm doing a lot better today. I slept phenomenally last night. Today was, very good at the office. I got to talk to Nominee until a few minutes ago. I got a good dinner ahead of me. So I'm feeling refreshed and revitalized and ready to blow my rage load on this piece of frustrating crap movie called A Lizard in a Woman's Skin. There's not a real specific reason why I saved this for last. Well, there kind of is, but it's definitely not saved the best for last. I wanted to bookend this movie because it was directed by Italian film director and filmmaker Lucio Fulci, because he has often been compared alongside Dario Argento. And let me just kind of go into that for a minute before I talk about this movie and why it frustrated me so much. Dario Argento and Lucio Fulci had done some collaborations in various films together, and while I don't see any bad blood coming from Dario's side, Lucio Fulci had more than a few choice words to say about Dario Argento and his directing style or his filmmaking style. And long story short, and this is just me paraphrasing, so I don't want you to think I'm taking this literally from any kind of sources. He basically called Dario Argento a hack and kind of a subpar director, even though those two had collaborated together. Which is also very interesting too, because after Lucio Fulci died in, I forget which year it is, Dario Argento actually helped pay to cover the expenses for his funeral and all his arrangements such as that. I think the reason why is he said he just felt bad about the whole situation, but that's beside the point. I found that very interesting, and alongside that as well, in the two Giallo, fan bases, I guess you could say, Argento on one side and Fulci on the other, there has been definitely some competition and saying that one is better than the other and vice versa. So I wanted to kind of start off with an Argento film and end with a Fulci film, just to say that I kind of compared both, at least one film side by side. And just based on first impressions alone, I have to say that the Dario Argento film is head and shoulders better than the Fulci film. Now, Fulci directed Lizard in a Woman's Skin in 1971, so once again, when the Giallo film is still kind of a burgeoning concept, but I understand a little bit about why he's called the Godfather of Gore, whereas like Argento is called the Godfather of the Giallo films, because this movie did not seem really as a Giallo film. I mean, it's been casted as such, and I see some elements of the Giallo style behind it, but for more than anything else, to me, it was a very, very subpar slasher film with elements of psychological horror. And that's kind of what pissed me off a little bit about it, because if you've seen several Giallo films, such as I have, or even just the reviews as I've talked about, the reasons I'm going to go into about why I found this frustrating will become apparent to you. First of all, Giallo films do not have to be on the same caliber as, say, a James Wan film. I mean, I know I'm comparing those decades apart from each other, but they're for two different, completely opposite reasons. Giallo films, in my opinion, definitely, as I've said in the first entry, come from more of that Agatha Christie and Raymond Chandler murder mystery with elements of psychological horror and slasher bits from that. This movie had nothing to do with it. It was, in anything, it was confusing, it was distracting, and it took tropes from all sorts of horror movies from the 70s and before and misconstrued them into just something that I could not understand. It was very just all over the place. Like somebody had, drank 2 or 3 Red Bulls and shot some meth, so they were tweaking all over the place and tried to cram as much into one movie as possible and still call it a horror film. And for those of you who've been following this project for a while, you know it takes a lot for me to consider a movie distracting. And I've sat through Disco Godfather and Monkey King with 72 Magic, alright? I mean, I saw Rogue One, and people have called the CGI version of Peter Cushing as distracting. I did not find that distracting. I just found that a little bit breaking. But that's beside the point. This movie was just distracting across the board with all the elements of that stuff that I love from a Giallo film and just made it the inverse effect. And I could not find that forgiving. I don't care if it was considered an experimental piece. I just found it to be lousy and lazily done. See, I told you out of the gate this was frustrating for me. I mean, here's the thing, it's like he just takes snatches from other horror movies. I can compare this to a sloppily done version of a David Cronenberg film just with the camera angles alone. I mean, it's a lot of flash cutting from character to character or scene, awkward zoom-ins to somebody's face. There's a scene when the husband and wife are talking. I forget their names because, well, I'm going to get into that. They're so forgettable. They're talking, and while it's panned perfectly normal to the wife's face, the standard kind of view like that, and then it cuts to the husband's face, and it could just be a general conversation piece like, how was your day, or talking about his day at the work, and the camera will just zoom in very up close and personal. Or if there's a walking scene, the characters are walking down the street, you see the head bob of the cameraman just going up and down. It's not a smooth pan like that. I mean, it almost is like whoever was filming this on the camera had it on a steady cam and they're just walking along and they had a peg leg for it as well because it was not smooth as well. I mean, maybe it was supposed to be used as an enhancement, I don't know, but I just could not forgive that. Lucio Fulci has different movies under his belt and he's had time to hone his craft. And I will be honest, I have not seen more than 3 Fulci movies, but so far this one in particular was the most unforgiving. It just did not pan well at all. And secondly, let's talk about the characters. I think this is probably what pissed me off even more than the plot. Because as I've said before, and as I've had conversations with friends and other people about, a character is key to making the movie, and every character seemed on the verge of falling asleep. I mean, even in the beginning when you had the main character, what was her name? I don't remember her name, so I'm just going to call her the main character. She's running through an orgy on a train car, and it cuts to a scene of a black room with a red bed, and she's getting ready for a little hot cha-cha girl-on-girl action with somebody. And just their facial expressions just look bored, like, can we just move on to the next scene? Like, maybe it's the 20th take, maybe they've gotten bored with each other, maybe one of the women is not a good kisser, I don't know. Oh, and side note, that sex scene that I'm talking about on the bed is like something completely ripped off from Deathbed, the bed that eats. The setting, the bed, the concept, when I saw it, I'm like, I've seen that before somewhere, I don't know, I could be something. The more I thought about it, I'm like, wait, this is Deathbed. And there's another movie that I sat through and didn't find distracting. Yeah, go see Deathbed, the bed that eats. If you want an actual horror movie that makes you at least somewhat weirded out, or better yet, go see a David Cronenberg movie. Sorry, guys. It's just the husband, the main character, who's the wife. It's very poorly orchestrated. They look bored out of their skulls. The daughter looks like she maybe got paid $100 to sit in for 20 minutes throughout the entire movie. It's just, there's nothing that shows this to be a caring, loving family. It even doesn't seem like it's anything other than a marriage of convenience, which maybe it was, but if it was, explain it to me. I mean, there is one scene when the husband does talk about how he is having an affair with a secretary, but once again, trope-wise, that has been done before. And it doesn't show anything else about why they're together. I mean, if anything, I mean, maybe he's trying to get her in here, but once again, I'm overanalyzing that. Even the murder scenes that have happened, the main character who is killing one of the women looks bored while she's doing it. I mean, it's a very forced expression, like... And I'm sitting there thinking, I didn't even know what to type. Josh was pretty much manning the conversation on Discord because he was having all the comments. I'm thinking, what am I sitting through? Why am I doing this? Why is he still talking to me? I mean, even when she is in dream sequences, when she's hallucinating about somebody chasing her, when she's hallucinating about failed experiments with beating heart, she still kind of has this half-assed, oh, never mind, what's the point? Like, she's just accepting her fate, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? Put some emotion behind that. Are you high? Are you drunk? Give me something to go on. Give me a reason to think that you're an acceptable character, or at least find some reason to make fun of you. This movie was just dull. And I really want to go into Wikipedia and change the film type from genre to just slasher, or not even that, like suspense, because there weren't even that many deaths. There was like one solid one, and that was explained at the tail end. The only thing that can constitute as being a giallo is the sub-motives that go into it, and there were only 2 or 3 of them at most. Okay. Plot. I'm not even going to talk about anything else because those are the big things: plot, character, and camera angles. The long story short, plot-wise, their husband, wife, and stepdaughter have a somewhat normal life. Gorgeous mansion, by the way. And she's having dreams about engaging in some sexual relations with another woman who turns out to be their neighbor, by the way. Also, said neighbor has quite the fun lifestyle of, really was the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I mean, there's one scene when the husband, wife, stepdaughter, and main character wife's father, who is also husband's boss, are having a meal, and it sounds like the Monkees and the Beatles are having a wake next door where neighbor is throwing a party. When you see, random guy on girl action, stuff like that. And they're just kind of like, whatever, I don't care. Once again, they're going to show just lazy character development. Like, who gives a damn about anything? And you'd figure if somebody was having a decadent party day in and day out, they would call the local police to file a complaint. Something, anything. This family's living in a gorgeous flat. Have the decency to at least bribe them to shut the hell up or stop before 10 p.m. At least that's what I would do back in the day when I was, in Kharkov and I had the nerd cave. But I just don't understand it. Anyways, dream sequences about orgies. Dream sequences about sex with other women. So clearly there's some sort of implication that she's not having a happy marriage with her husband, but she sticks with him, I think. Or just could be having fantasies. I don't know. It was never explained. It was never done right. It was just so the viewers could accept it as it is what it is and just happily move on into this movie that made my eyes want to roll out of their skull. Anyways, long story short, she has a dream that main character kills the woman, the neighbor, after several sequences of them, getting down and frisky with each other. Insert these little mini plots that were never explained to begin with. It's just, once again, like, these people that had maybe a 5-second scene in one of the orgy scenes in Neighbor's house come forward to say they killed her. Reasons are never explained. They just said, oh, we did it. How do these characters relate to the white main character's relation to the neighbor, or to the husband's relation to the neighbor, or to any other person? It was set at face value because the plot said so. Now I know where James Cameron, not Kirk Cameron, gets this from. Anyway, these subplots that are basically where main character who's never met these other characters from are having dream sequences and then seeing them in reality like it's something out of Inception or The Matrix, and she has reasons to believe that this all has happened in real life. Long story short, after much time, yes, it is said at the very end of the movie that she did kill her neighbor. Why? Because you know those dream scenes about them getting a little hot cha-cha action? Yes, that actually happened in reality. After much ado about anything, without them explaining things in detail, even scenes with her, by the way, she's seeing a therapist. There's another throwback for you that was never explained. She just keeps saying she's having these dreams, and therapist's like, oh, good for you. No extra detail, just conversations about these saying, you're making progress. What is she having progress from? It's not helping her progress away from having these dreams because she still has them. It's not having her come up with having some guts to tell her neighbor to, hey, shut the hell up, or at least move to a different venue. Doesn't anybody have a good break-in party anymore? I don't know. Anyway, even after some of the characters say that they were the ones that murdered her neighbor, woman, whatever her name was, somehow all the evidence goes back to her. It's just, and even the title by itself, Lizard in a Woman's Skin, is based on one sentence only when one of the people who confessed to the murder, or no, not even that, it said that they quote, saw a lizard in a woman's skin. That has nothing to do with the premise of the movie. Let's look at some of the previous titles we've talked about. Blood and Black Lace, it talks about a dead model. Black Belly of the Tarantula, it talks about how a tarantula hawk kills its prey. Even Suspiria, for one of the more vague titles, kind of still has that overall vibe of fear and suspense to it. There you go, suspense, Suspiria. They had one sentence only that had no allusion to how the plot's going to be, and the overall premise was because neighbor wanted to say that she wanted to tell people that they had a little something going on this side, made her main character want to kill her. How does this relate to the dream sequence? Can she sleepwalk? Is she doing stuff like that? Is she tripping out? Is something pumping through the air vents that's made her do this sort of thing while hallucinating about it? Well, how does nobody else see her kill this person other than the fact that two stoners saw it? It all, once again, just everything is jumbled together, and it's just flash to flash to flash to flash to flash, to the point you have to think about it days afterwards to come up with a valid conclusion. But at the end of it all, I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Well, there you go, guys. Like I said, those that wanted the rage meter have it right there. It's just, there was nothing redeeming about this movie. It had so much potential to be a decent slasher film, but it was just, I don't know if they just came up to deadline and said we have to throw something together, or if it just generally, if Lucio Fulci just continued with his trend of the past movies that I've seen and just made it a very bad and lazy slasher. And I keep talking about going back to David Cronenberg. Yes, I mean, with the camera angles, with the lighting, David Cronenberg in something like Scanners or Videodrome or something like that had those concepts, but they were nailed down to the fact that even if you knew it was ridiculous, which a lot of Cronenberg movies were, that at least still left you kind of sitting forward going, that was good, that was good. I mean, one of Harkov's favorite movies is Videodrome, and he and I can both admit that's a little on the ridiculous side. But if you dumb that down to a lazy concept, you have what this movie is about. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to give Fulci an honest chance, but this one is not throwing it home. And to those that think it's better than Suspiria or Bird with the Crystal Plumage or anything else that Argento has put out. You guys need to rethink your course of action, or at least tell me why specifically you think this is better. But that's just my opinion. Do I recommend this movie? Obviously not, but if there's some way you can obtain through legal means, not saying through nefarious means, a way to obtain this movie, and you want to blow through 90 to 100 minutes of your life, be my guest. Better yet, watch Suspiria, watch Inferno, watch Mother of Tears, watch The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, watch Black Belly the Tarantula, watch Blood and Black Lace. Something. Anything to give yourself a giallo fix that is better than this. And I'm not doing this to offend any Fulci fans. This is once again based on my opinion, based on the time that I've seen this, and given the 2 days I've had to think about it and the conversations I've had with Josh. If you want to recommend this movie and give me the reasons why, like I said, put them in the comments below, or recommend a better movie that Fulci has done. I don't know, but that's just me. I'm rambling, I'm frustrated through this because I really did not want to just turn the rage meter back on. But I really wanted to give you my honest opinion on this because I find it so ironic that we started Giallo July with one of my favorite movies, Suspiria, and then Black Belly the Tarantula, not as good but still decent, Blood and Black Lace, which still wasn't as good. It had a little bit of potential to it. In fact, if I watch it again, it probably will be a little bit better the second time around. But then, bottom of the barrel, lizard in a woman's skin. But that's just me. And that concludes Giallo July. I hope you've liked this, and if there's other Giallo movies that you want me to watch, I don't plan to do a mini arc, probably at least for the rest of this year. Once again, as I said when I rambled about movies, that was just something to help me get back on the horse. I've got some good movies set up for August, at least 2, and I hope you guys like them. But once again, let me know what you think. Let me know any recommendations. But other than that, y'all have a wonderful evening, and I'll catch you in the flip side, all right? Peace.